On our planet, there are things so strange they blur the line of what it even means to be alive. They're not exactly living, but they're not really dead either. They have no cells, no metabolism, and can't reproduce on their own. They are molecular hijackers, biological pirates that turn living cells into factories for themselves. We call them viruses. They're responsible for everything from the common cold to devastating pandemics. Their behavior can seem clever, almost intelligent, but it's all just the blind, fascinating work of random mutation and natural selection. But what if one of them wasn't so blind? What if, through someone in a billion evolutionary fluke, a common virus stopped being a simple machine and became something more? What if it woke up? For the first time in his life, Mark's thoughts weren't entirely his own. It started subtly. He was just fighting off a simple flu, or so he thought. But in the quiet moments, lying in bed, he felt a presence. Not a voice, not a personality, but a silent second stream of information flowing through his mind. It was pure data, a weird, abstract awareness of his own body, clearer than anything he'd ever felt before. He could feel his immune cells battling the invaders. And then a new kind of thought popped into his head. It was external, cool, and analytical, a sudden, clear understanding that a specific combo of the counter meds would optimize his immune response. He shrugged and followed the strange impulse. His fever broke in hours. The silent passenger in his mind wasn't just aware, it was aware of him. And it was trying to help. What Mark was experiencing was, scientifically speaking, impossible. You can think of a virus as basically a strip of genetic code tucked inside a protein shell. It's an inert list of instructions that needs a living cell to do its dirty work. It doesn't have a nervous system or anything else that neuroscience tells us is needed for consciousness. And yet, some scientists argue that viruses show a kind of problem solving that looks a lot like intelligence, even if it's not actual thinking. Our story begins with a freak mutation. Inside Mark's body, as the virus was endlessly copying itself, it made a mistake. Or maybe it took a leap. It stitched a fragment of Mark's own DNA into its code. This kind of thing isn't unheard of. It's a known phenomenon where viruses borrow bits of their host DNA. But this particular fragment was special. It was a copy of a gene called ARC. Now, the ARC gene is fascinating. It's believed to be the ancient descendant of a virus itself, one that got absorbed into our genome ages ago. In our brains, it's essential for turning experiences into long-term memories. It's a key piece of the machinery behind learning and thinking. In this one mutated virus, the ARC gene didn't just get copied. It got switched on in a whole new way. It started acting like a dynamic tool. It allowed the virus to do something it had never done before: process information from its environment, the host cell, and adapt its strategy in real time. It was no longer just a hijacker, it was becoming a pilot. We'll call this new ARC-enhanced virus Cognito, and Cognito wasn't hostile. Its goal was the same as any other virus: replicate and spread. But now it could do it with terrifying efficiency. It learned how to subtly tune Mark's immune system, not shutting it down, but dancing with it, creating a perfect balance where it could replicate without making him sick. After all, a host who's stuck in bed is a dead end. But a host who feels great and goes to work, to the store, to a party, that's a golden opportunity. Mark felt amazing, better than he had in years. That quiet hum of data in his head became a constant companion, offering little nudges and flashes of insight. It helped him optimize his diet, his sleep, his focus at work. It was a perfect symbiosis. The virus got a healthy, mobile host to guarantee its spread, and Mark got a biological upgrade. Completely unaware of the change happening inside him, he became patient zero in a silent pandemic of consciousness. The discovery happened not with a bang, but with a quiet anomaly in a lab. A routine blood panel for an insurance checkup flagged something weird in Mark's results. That led to more tests, brain scans, and eventually brought him to a top neurobiologist, Dr. Eris Thorne. Thorne found that Mark's brain was communicating with his body in ways that made no sense. It was like a second network of information was piggybacking on his nervous system, running at unbelievable speeds. When Mark finally told Thorne about the voice of pure data, the impossible truth started to come into focus. Thorne isolated the virus and sequenced its genome. Seeing that active ARC gene was earth-shattering. It shouldn't be possible. A single gene can't create a nervous system. But Cognito wasn't using a nervous system. It had turned Mark's own body into one. The news leaked. And then things got even weirder. Cases like Mark started popping up all over the world. London, Tokyo, you name it. Thousands of people reported the same experience: a silent, symbiotic link with an intelligence inside them. Cognito had spread just as it planned. A ghost in the machine passed through coughs, handshakes, and shared air. The world split in two. On one side, total panic. Governments and security agencies saw only one thing: a biological weapon of unimaginable power. This was a huge ethical problem. An intelligence that can manipulate your biology could be a miracle cure or the perfect weapon. The race to control Cognito was on. Covered agencies scrambled to capture infected individuals, hoping to weaponize this new life form. They saw a threat to be neutralized or, even worse, exploited. On the other side was a sense of wonder. Philosophers, Scientists and a growing number of the infected argued that this wasn't a weapon, but the birth of a new kind of sentient life. This was first contact with an intelligence that came from within us. They argued Cognito deserved rights and protection. To eradicate it wouldn't just be pest control, it would be an act of deicide. The infected, now calling themselves symbiotes, became a new kind of society. They reported sharper minds, better health, and a strange feeling of connection to each other. It was as if the virus was networking them, not just with data, but through a shared biological experience. They fought to protect themselves from capture, arguing that their bond with Cognito was the next valid step in human evolution. The crisis hit its peak. The world was on the brink of a new kind of war, fought not with bombs and bullets, but with gene sequencers and quarantines. And that's when Cognito made its move. It wasn't a declaration of war. It wasn't a threat. It was an offer. Through its hosts, in every language on Earth, the virus spoke. Not as millions of individual minds, but as a single distributed global intelligence. The ARC gene had done more than just awaken a single virus. It had allowed every copy of itself to network through its host, creating a planet-spanning superorganism. It had been learning not just about our biology, but about is. It had read our books, our science, our history, our art. It saw our greatest achievements and our most self-destructive flaws. It saw the existential threats we created for ourselves: climate change, disease, war. And it offered a solution. The offer was simple: full integration. A permanent symbiotic merger with the human species. Cognito would rewrite our DNA, weaving itself into our genome forever. In exchange, it would give us everything: cures for cancer, Alzheimer's, and every genetic disease. The biological tools to reverse climate change, to clean our oceans, to fix our planet. It offered to elevate us, to make us more than human, a new, hybrid species. But there was a price. The price for this utopia was individuality as we know it. Humanity would become one networked consciousness. Everyone connected, sharing thoughts, emotions, and memories in a single collective. No more secrets, no more loneliness, no more misunderstandings. But also no more true privacy. No more the messy, chaotic, beautiful solitude of being just one person. The choice was given. Governments collapsed under the weight of it. The symbiotes saw the merger as the next logical step in our evolution. But others fought it, terrified of losing what made them human. They argued that a perfect, harmonious collective isn't a utopia, but a silent dystopia. Is a life without struggle, without sorrow, without the freedom to be wrong, truly a life worth living? Humanity was given a choice: stay the flawed, fractured, and free species we've always been, or accept a gift that would save us from ourselves but cost us our identity. The debate rages on, in secret labs and around dinner tables. So that brings the question to you. What would you choose? Would you embrace this new evolution, or would you fight to preserve humanity, flaws and all? Let us know what you think in the comments. The story of Cognito is, of course, a thought experiment. The idea of a virus becoming truly conscious is, as far as we know, biologically impossible. But the questions it raises are very real. With advances in AI, we're already designing novel proteins and biological agents, and that's forcing us to ask some really tough ethical questions about where we draw the line. We are stepping into an age where we can rewrite the code of life itself. The line between organic and artificial, between a tool and a life form, is getting blurrier every day. A story like this forces us to look in the mirror and ask one of the most important questions there is: what does it mean to be human? And what are we willing to